Set during the harrowing days of World War I, Bunker immerses viewers into the grim realities faced by soldiers entrenched in relentless warfare. The narrative centers on Lieutenant Turner, a steadfast and authoritative leader who commands a diverse battalion comprising British and American soldiers. Among them are Corporal Miller, a seasoned and pragmatic officer, Private Lewis, a devout and introspective soldier, Corporal Walker, known for his distinctive mustache and camaraderie, and Private Baker, a young and inexperienced American grappling with the brutal initiation into the horrors of war. The film opens amidst the cacophony of battle, with British and German forces locked in a deadly stalemate. The soldiers are stationed in muddy, claustrophobic trenches, a grim testament to the unyielding and gruesome nature of trench warfare. The air is thick with tension and the omnipresent specter of death, as evidenced by the routine task of transporting fallen comrades' bodies, a grim chore that has become disturbingly normalized for these men. In these dire circumstances, the soldiers engage in fleeting moments of levity and personal reflection, attempting to preserve their humanity amidst the surrounding inhumanity. Walker, in particular, finds solace in grooming his mustache, a small act of personal pride that offers a semblance of normalcy. This seemingly trivial act becomes a point of contention when Lieutenant Turner reprimands Walker, emphasizing the relentless discipline required in their perilous environment. The arrival of Captain Hall introduces additional complexity to the battalion's dynamics. Accompanying him are Private Segura, a medic with a background in medical studies prior to the war, and Private Baker, whose youthful naivete is starkly evident. Baker's tender age elicits a protective response from Corporal Miller, who offers him alcohol to steel his nerves, a poignant reminder of the premature loss of innocence that war inflicts. Segura, in contrast, abstains and immerses himself in documenting their experiences, perhaps as a means to process the surrounding chaos. As the soldiers settle into their grim routines, an unexpected development disrupts the status quo. Reports emerge that the opposing German forces have inexplicably abandoned their positions, leaving their trenches eerily silent. This sudden retreat is met with a mixture of skepticism and cautious optimism. To verify the enemy's withdrawal, the soldiers deploy a grenade into the deserted trench, receiving no retaliatory response, a confirmation that the Germans have indeed vacated. Seizing this strategic opportunity, Lieutenant Turner orders an advance to occupy the abandoned German bunker, aiming to secure a tactical advantage. Despite Captain Hall's reservations about potential booby traps or ambushes, Turner insists on proceeding without additional bombardment to preserve the bunker's integrity. The squad cautiously traverses the desolate no-man's land, acutely aware of the omnipresent dangers that could lurk in the seemingly abandoned trenches. As they navigate this treacherous expanse, they encounter the gruesome remnants of battle. Numerous corpses of German soldiers, their lifeless forms a stark reminder of war's indiscriminate brutality. The eerie silence is shattered when a surviving German soldier in a desperate and disoriented state lunges at Private Baker, pleading in his native tongue. Unable to comprehend and paralyzed by fear, Baker hesitates until Corporal Walker intervenes, urging him to eliminate the potential threat. With palpable reluctance, Baker stabs the soldier, marking a grim initiation into the personal acts of violence that war necessitates. Upon reaching the German bunker, the soldiers are confronted with an unsettling anomaly. The entrance is barricaded from the outside, an unusual fortification, suggesting that whatever lies within warranted containment. This ominous detail seeds unease among the men, hinting at unforeseen horrors that may await as they prepare to breach the bunker's confines. The atmosphere intensifies dramatically as Lieutenant Turner orders the soldiers to enter the mysterious bunker. Upon breaking inside, the troops immediately sense that something is deeply amiss. The bunker, far larger than typical wartime shelters, extends into a complex network of dark, foreboding tunnels. Initially cloaked in darkness, the space illuminates when Turner activates the electrical system, revealing a horrifying scene. A German soldier crucified on the wall, barely alive, gasping painfully for air. Despite the unsettling sight, Lieutenant Turner insists they rescue the soldier to gather crucial intelligence. Segura, the group's medic, compassionately tends to the wounded German's severe injuries. The soldier's shocking condition sparks urgent questions among the troops. Why would the Germans torture their own man in such a brutal manner? The mystery deepens further when an explosion abruptly collapses the bunker's primary entrance, trapping the soldiers underground. Amidst the chaos, toxic gas seeps into the bunker, causing immediate panic. Captain Hall and Corporal Miller tragically succumb under collapsing debris, their loss profoundly affecting the remaining men. Walker suffers severe injuries, prompting Segura to rush to his aid. Realizing their dire situation, Turner quickly instructs Baker to radio for immediate rescue support. As tension mounts, Turner interrogates the rescued German soldier, pressing for answers about their peculiar abandonment and the brutal treatment he endured. Yet, the soldier, visibly traumatized, remains unsettlingly silent, deepening the sense of dread. Segura, meanwhile, uncovers disturbing evidence. The toxic gas canisters bear German markings, indicating the Germans intentionally attacked their own bunker, deliberately trapping or killing those inside. This revelation shocks Turner, making him question if their enemy knew about their presence, or if something more sinister lurked beneath the surface. The situation escalates further when Walker, affected by the gas, begins exhibiting increasingly erratic and violent behavior. Covered in strange rashes and driven by madness, he inflicts self-harm, terrifying the others. Witnessing this horrific breakdown deeply rattles Private Baker, who becomes consumed by guilt over killing the German soldier earlier. Segura tries to comfort Baker, explaining that war demands difficult choices for survival. Yet Baker's emotional turmoil only deepens upon discovering more bodies hidden within the tunnels, an eerie reminder of the horrors surrounding them. Meanwhile, Lewis finally makes radio contact with their battalion, bringing temporary hope of rescue, though his attempts to communicate their exact circumstances are constantly interrupted by the chaos unfolding inside the bunker. The soldiers' fragile sanity teeters precariously on the brink, as unsettling discoveries and psychological terror amplify their desperate struggle for survival. Following Walker's gruesome self-mutilation and subsequent death, the soldiers become aware that a bizarre infection or unknown entity has infiltrated their ranks. Lewis, deeply shaken by his religious beliefs, becomes convinced that demonic forces inhabit the bunker. This paranoia intensifies when he and Baker find their food supplies contaminated by the same mysterious white liquid Walker had expelled, confirming Lewis's fears that something unnatural is indeed haunting them. Lieutenant Turner, struggling to maintain control, orders the men to accelerate efforts to dig their way out. However, the team's cohesion rapidly deteriorates under growing suspicion. Turner specifically instructs Lewis to keep watch on Segura and the German soldier, Kurt, fearing betrayal. Segura, meanwhile, remains committed to escaping and continues digging through the unsettlingly dense tunnels where strange white roots now visibly permeate the walls. Tensions spike further when Segura experiences a surreal vision within the tunnel, abruptly transported into a vast open battlefield, with a lone grave oozing the same mysterious white substance. Snapping back to reality by an attack siren's blare, Segura quickly disables the noise, only to face Turner's violent accusations. Now paranoid and aggressive, Turner believes Segura and Kurt are responsible for their misfortunes, nearly killing Segura before Lewis intervenes. As trust collapses entirely, Turner orders the men to relinquish their weapons, pleading for unity and survival amid dwindling supplies. Yet, despite the superficial truce, Turner's paranoia festers. Privately, he enlists Lewis's help to secretly gather weapons, still distrustful of Segura and Kurt's intentions. Lewis, however, is falling victim to the mysterious substance himself, unknowingly drinking from a cup contaminated by the white liquid, sealing his tragic fate. Elsewhere, Segura continues excavating tunnels, uncovering more shocking evidence of the bunker's horrifying nature. While removing the strange roots, he inadvertently extracts the corpse of Captain Hall, whose body has become grotesquely entangled within the alien growth. Before Segura can process this terrifying sight, an earthquake violently shakes the tunnels, threatening imminent collapse. Baker heroically saves Segura just in time, but their relief is short-lived. Returning to the main chamber, Segura and Baker witness a harrowing scene. Lewis, driven insane, confronts Turner with an active grenade. Baker frantically attempts to resecure the grenade, but fails. The explosion brutally kills Lewis, scattering his remains and critically wounding Baker, whose hand is severed. In a traumatic aftermath, Turner descends further into madness, convinced he can still communicate with Lewis's scattered remains. Amidst this chaos, Segura desperately tends to Baker's grave injuries, when suddenly, an ominous radio transmission draws their attention. Expecting salvation, Segura instead hears cryptic demands from their supposed rescuers, explicitly ordering him to protect Kurt. Frustrated and suspicious, Segura demands answers, only to discover, horrified, that the radio itself secretes the mysterious white liquid and harbors a grotesque living brain inside. In sheer disbelief, Segura destroys the radio, severing its eerie connection to the bunker's pervasive horrors. Confronting Kurt at gunpoint, Segura finally learns the truth. Kurt confesses that an ancient, malevolent force known as the Angel of War dwells within the bunker. This entity feeds on the violence and terror generated by warfare, growing stronger with each conflict. Kurt admits to being under its control, explaining why his comrades cruelly abandoned him. After Kurt's shocking revelation, tension spirals uncontrollably within the dark, suffocating confines of the bunker. Lieutenant Turner, now completely engulfed in paranoia, succumbs to the Angel's manipulative power, his mind shattered by relentless fear. Consumed by rage and madness, Turner violently confronts Kurt, accusing him of betrayal and the deaths of their comrades. As Turner raises his gun to execute Kurt, Private Baker, despite his severe injuries, bravely intervenes, tackling Turner in a final act of courage. In the chaotic struggle, however, Kurt is fatally shot, collapsing to the ground, mortally wounded. Realizing their situation is dire, Segura tries desperately to stabilize Kurt, but it's clear that his injuries are fatal. With his dying breath, Kurt insists the evil force controlling him must die with him, urging Segura and Baker to escape immediately. Understanding the magnitude of this revelation, Segura races to find an exit. Discovering an opening created by the relentless bombing above, Segura painstakingly helps Baker ascend toward freedom, inch by painful inch, finally reaching the surface where rescue awaits. Yet, driven by duty and compassion, Segura refuses to leave Kurt behind, determined to return for him despite the overwhelming danger. When Segura descends once more into the bunker, he faces a nightmarish sight. Kurt lies lifeless, his body gruesomely ruptured, giving birth to the true form of the Angel of War, a monstrous entity thriving on human conflict and fear. Segura understands instantly that defeating this supernatural creature outright is impossible. Instead, he chooses to contain the evil, sealing it away to prevent further devastation. In a harrowing act of sacrifice, Segura detonates explosives, triggering a massive collapse that buries the Angel of War deep beneath tons of rubble, sealing it within the darkness of the bunker. Segura heroically gives his life to imprison the demon, ensuring humanity's temporary reprieve from its wrath. Above ground, Baker, severely wounded and emotionally shattered, is rescued by reinforcements. Though physically safe, Baker bears the psychological scars of everything he witnessed, haunted by the unimaginable horrors beneath the battlefield. He understands that war's true enemy isn't merely opposing armies, but the insidious forces that exploit human cruelty, fear, and division. The Angel of War, as Baker painfully realizes, possesses horrifying abilities, able to infect minds through a parasitic, white fluid. Once exposed, victims lose their sanity, becoming vessels for this sinister power. This explains the violent madness exhibited by Walker and Turner. Kurt's survival until the end was crucial for the demon, as the creature needed a host to sustain itself in the toxic atmosphere.
Walker's death after losing his mask underscores this vulnerability. The narrative ends with a chilling reminder: the entity, though imprisoned, is not destroyed. Segura's sacrifice grants humanity only temporary relief. As the soldiers and audience alike grapple with these revelations, the film profoundly emphasizes war's devastating psychological and moral toll, highlighting the eternal struggle against darkness both external and within the human soul. Ultimately, Bunker poignantly suggests that war never truly ends. It only pauses, waiting for the next opportunity to reawaken ancient horrors that lurk beneath humanity's collective nightmares.